It is 1:30. Yeah. Let's nominate him for something. He's not here to defend himself. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. All right. So, first is the approval of the minutes. We get copies of the minutes?
No, they're not in there.
Okay. Rhonda? No, ma'am?
You had sent them out electronically, but they're
Yeah,
not in this packet.
Yeah, no, it's just not in the packet.
I'll second that.
Okay, whoa. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I'm just looking for the minutes in the. You printed them, well, bless your little heart. No, he's making good use of taxpayer dollars right there. Thank you. Okay. All right, so now we had a motion by Dan and a second by Jan. By Doug. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I approve, same sign. All right, Adam, it's not stressful yet.
Let's get one out.
Up too late last? Okay, so now we have approval of claims. This is something new, sort of. Okay, so we're talking about the Avon Marsh contract, correct?
Actually, it's for a billing firm, Turner Valentine, for $20.
Okay, I don't have that either. It's for how much?
$20.
Okay, somebody will make a motion to pay Adam $20, please.
Probably shouldn't even get billed.
But that's all right, Adam.
I'll make a motion to approve payment of Adam's expenses.
Thank you, Doug. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Can't be the smallest license.
Motion for Doug. Maybe you can have coffee at Starbucks with that. Motion by Doug, seconded by Mike. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it has been approved, and do you remember what you were working on? Was it Avon Marsh, or was it?
It was probably something.
The
it would honestly
1300.
been Something outside of this.
I think it would have been talking about the TIF district.
Yes. And
I remember reading that somewhere.
Yeah, and then, just verifying, I would have had the claim then, I may have another claim for next month just because of we were looking at the spending plan and those emails back and forth with,
And I read
So,
those too.
Yes.
Yes, and not to exceed $20, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't think it is.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Okay. All right, so now let's look at our Redevelopment Commission meeting dates for next year. And as required by statute, we have to meet the first working day of every year. So that is scheduled for January 2nd, 2024, a Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. And then it would be the second Thursday of every month. And does anyone have, every other month, I'm sorry, bi-monthly. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? This has not been published, correct? Rhonda? Has this been published? No, it hasn't. Thank you. So if we wanted to move the meeting date, this would be the prime opportunity to do so. Mainly because we would have to find out if the room is available on another date. Staring at Marcia for this. But it would be possible to move it. And the only reason I say that, that is also the day that the council meets that night. And I don't know what anybody else's Thursdays are like, so I'm throwing it open for discussion at this point. If you like the date, state so. If you don't, and you have a suggested other date, we will check for room availability. Or if you want to meet on a different week of the month, not the second, just throwing things out there. You're good? Okay.
I'll be sunny myself in Florida.
We don't want to hear about this, Mike. I mean, it's just so sad when these Florida people feel like they have to share that they're going to warmer climates.
There's something out on my calendar for January 2nd. Is that better?
Will you be joining us remotely?
When will I be joining
No,
you?
will you be joining us remotely on the 2nd from Florida?
I'll talk to you after this.
Well, no, I'm just wondering if we're gonna have a quorum, because
You're not going to be here?
I'm not, family plans are still being made, so I might be in California, but again, if I were, then I would try to join remotely if that was necessary.
Okay, and one thing I guess that we probably should be very clear about is that no one has been appointed yet. So as of right now, our obligations, with the exception of you and you,
You gotta approve my contract for next year.
all right, so technically you're not either. Does the school board vote on you every year?
Those $20 bills.
If I want it, they give it to me.
Okay, well, the way this works is that the commissioners have 3 positions, and the council has 2 positions. And then we retain Adam to keep us out of hot water, right? We should tell the press to always call you with questions. I don't think he liked that idea much. Okay, so, yeah, so, I mean, there is a possibility that there could be different people sitting here next year. I'm not going to say there will be or won't be. I don't know when the commissioners move forward on asking people to stay, or, I don't know.
I'm looking those currently, but I'm not completed my list. It's about 3 pages long.
Just a few people.
We will know the first commissioners meeting in December.
Okay, and that's the same thing, we'll know the first council meeting, December 14th, who's going to be on redevelopment. So, Adam, do you have any conflicts for any other time? I mean,
I'm sorry. No, from that standpoint, as long as it's between, 8 and 5, I will do whatever day. I don't have any other standing meetings or any other clients during those hours.
okay. Dan?
It's too early for me, 100%, but it looks good to me.
Okay. Doug?
Yeah, I only have standing meetings in the morning, so I'd be available, most days throughout the week if the commission decided to move it.
And Jan, did you say you did or didn't have with these dates?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. So with the exception of Mr. Sunny over there, we think that this is fine with everybody?
Were you suggesting,
I just have a really tough Thursdays.
right,
So, I mean, it would be almost better if it was the first Thursday. So then we'd have this on one Thursday, and then the next Thursday would be council. But, oh, good.
This room is not available the first Thursday of the month.
Okay, well, that solves that dilemma, doesn't it? Okay, and I know the reason we're doing it on Thursday before the council meeting is so that if there's anything to report to the council, they're not going to have to wait a month to hear it. So, is my understanding.
Years past, yes, that's what
That was the thought process? Okay, good. All right, so we'll just leave it alone. Since the room's not available, it solves that dilemma real
well, that's
quickly.
on a Thursday, but if we could, if we wanted to move it to an altogether different day, or Wednesday,
I'm fine with Wednesdays. Does anybody else have a problem with Wednesdays?
the first Wednesday of the month, this room is not available.
Second?
That I would have to look, because I don't know if we have, I don't think we have any standing meetings, but I've been getting requests for the room to be scheduled for next year, so that might be one I would have to get back to you on.
Maybe
Matt?
she should tell us when we can, and then we can discuss.
Yeah. When do you have to advertise this, Rhonda?
Oh, probably late in December.
Okay, so we're good. It has to be, what, 48 hours before our first meeting? Okay. Matt, do you have any preferences, any standing meetings, any
The ones
comments?
that eat up the first Wednesday of the month is the Plan Commission.
Oh, now we know. Okay.
We've got Board of Zoning Appeals the first Monday preceding the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay. Okay.
Those are morning meetings though, so.
Okay. Terry, any input? Okay. If you could, Marcia, if you could check, and then can we, Mr. Attorney, do a email consensus? No? Okay.
But I don't know if there's any reason, that January 2nd meeting is like statutory, like that's gotta be that
Right.
day kind of thing. I don't think we make choice there. I don't know if there's an issue of setting the rest of the meetings at that January meeting. I don't know. I'd have to look at the statute, but I don't know why you couldn't just wait and set the full year agenda, or a full year schedule at that January meeting.
And that would make more sense, because if any of the players change, we
Then they
have to
could-
consider their schedule too, so is that okay? We'll just,
We just can't do that at that meeting.
right,
I don't know, we can't vote on it.
okay. Gotcha. I just wasn't sure if they'd progressed on that or not, but no. You would know.
The 1 year,
Yeah.
the 1 year we went from meeting every quarter to every month, right? That was mid-year,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
clearly
We can change it.
I
Okay.
think the one that I know of, is not.
Okay, all right. Well, I would appreciate it if you would look at the second Wednesday and see if it's even available. And then we will discuss this further at our mandatory, that'll give us something to talk about, at our mandatory January 2nd meeting.
Just so that Marcia has more than one date, should she look at the second and the third Wednesday? Because
Sure.
it would still improve your schedule on the third Thursday if we moved that to the third Wednesday, right? Because then you'd have meetings on Wednesday and Thursday.
No, council's second,
Second one,
Thursday.
the second Thursday, okay.
The only thing they wanted to do was to have this meeting so that if anything needed to be reported to council.
Right.
They weren't waiting 3 or 4 weeks to hear
Right,
it.
but I mean, if we met instead of the third Thursday, we met on the third Wednesday, we'd still be meeting in advance of,
Council's second Thursday.
right, but we're meeting are we meeting the first?
No, we're meeting second.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Same day as
Got it,
council.
got it, got it, got it.
Okay. Okay, we'll hold out till we'll just table this. Do you have a motion to table this discussion? Thank you. Second. All those in favor of tabling this until our January 2nd, which Rhonda can advertise that one. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, so we'll table that. And if you could just let me know, Marcia, whenever, I mean, you have until January 2nd. Okay, good. All right. All right, next, we have Kedco update. Terry. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'll give you just a couple quick things. With regard to housing initiative, we continue to support the Milford East Fields project. I don't know if you've been up to Milford, but they have 3 houses that are under construction that have been framed. We're also working on a project in Etna Green and trying to get some engineering started on a site that we have under control and working with the town on that. And then most recently, we've been supporting the South Shore redevelopment, and I can go into more detail on that. Joni, is that something you want me to kind of dive down further in?
Generalities?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to do it? I mean,
Yeah. I'll start, and then if you want to jump in, you or Doug and stuff. So I'll kind of give you some context that we've been working with South Shore, probably on and off for the last couple of years, I guess before I got here, but most recently since April, we distributed a request for a proposal to the development community, soliciting proposals on multifamily, and received a number of proposals, and then kind of started working with those developers to see which might be the appropriate one to kind of move forward with. And right now, they're moving forward with a group called the Ridge Group, and we are working with them to kind of develop a path forward. And the biggest challenge that they've identified is really the water sewer. So the water creates a problem because of the cost, and I'll go into a little detail on that. So what they're proposing is doing 2 phases, a first phase of 120 units and a second phase of 120 units, a total of 240 units. And with that, the type of water that they have to provide for that development makes them essentially a water provider. And so the cost of not only the installation, but then managing that is cost prohibitive. So water becomes very, very important. And so with that as a challenge, we engaged I got Joni and Doug together with the town council and the RDC of Syracuse to kind of just say, okay, let's get in a room and see if we can kind of have a discussion and problem solve. And so there was actually a very good discussion, and what came out of that essentially were a number of steps that we have to go through, one, to see if this makes any economic sense. I think there's a general consensus that it makes sense, but what's the return on investment, and what's the business model almost? And so I am in the process of working with Baker Tilly to develop a scope that would measure the economic impact of this development and the utility impact, so the water sewer impact, and also taking a look longer term of what are the pluses, minuses, the return on investment for any long-term down the road annexation question. Along with that is what are the policies that need to be in place and the intergovernmental agreements that might need to be in place, because currently the county has a TIF in place to support the residential development. And so what does that look like if anything changes? And so again, the premise of that, our discussion of getting together is this a good idea? And if so, what do we need in order to make an informed decision? And so we know the return on investment. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. There was discussion of, okay, how would this be paid for, this study? And the folks in the room, which is non-binding, so
No votes were taken.
no votes were taken, is, hey, I think we can kind of pool dollars, nickels and dimes, as I call it, and pay for it between the developer, maybe the town council, and either RDC or county council. And with that, then with a scope in hand, we would go to each of the bodies and request funding. And based upon my discussions with Baker Tilly, they're pretty backed up with some things. So this study couldn't even start until after the first of the year. And it's probably a 30, 60-day time frame.
Okay, and Senator Abbott was also, or
Yes.
Representative?
Yeah, Representative
Representative Abbott.
was there, and he was looking into some things with regard to state statute on a number of things that were in question there. And so, again, we think that at the end of a process of this study, we'll have a lot of answers to questions that we need in order to determine a go, no-go type of a scenario.
And it was very good to have all of the people that were there
Yeah,
and able to talk freely
yeah,
and share ideas and different possibilities. And no one was there acting in an official capacity. We were all just there to gather ideas and see what
Yeah.
the possibilities might be,
Yeah.
if anybody had any ideas. And I have discovered since then, in conversation with the commissioner, that they can actually annex the road
That's what I was
and not on either side, just the road to get to South Shore. Because there's some concern of whether or not the people that would be in that strip going down 13,
yeah.
I just didn't want to say the wrong road, would want to be annexed. So therefore, that really wouldn't even be a problem,
Yeah.
because that could be bypassed and you could annex a road. I didn't realize that until a conversation with Brad Jackson, and he informed me that, yes, that is a
All right,
possibility.
good. I'd always wondered, I thought about just the right-of-way on either side, that you could just
Yep.
get, yeah.
You
Well,
can.
good. Well, and then the question becomes the economics of annexation, which is, again, an easy kind of plug and chug, and you make that determination. So at the end of this process, we hope that people will have enough in front of them to make an informed decision. And like I say, I always call it a go, no-go. You decide, let's move forward, and what's the next step? Series of steps. Or it's like, you know what, we just can't do it, and so we'll have to think of something else.
So a question based on your conversation with Brad Jackson, or Terry, if you have knowledge then. So if the road can be annexed, which is, even if it's a state road can be annexed, which I think is going to be interesting to hear more about that. Does that make then the property of South Shore Village contiguous, such that
Yes.
then the town can then annex?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she's,
project.
yeah, that's what she's inferring, or Brad was, is that if you make it contiguous by just the road, then you can annex the subdivision, the development.
You cannot annex unless it is. And you cannot create a TIF district unless
The
it is.
town cannot.
The town
The town
of
can,
Syracuse cannot create a TIF district unless it is part of,
Right, okay, interesting development, yeah.
yeah. I find this whole thing very interesting. I do. So, and Adam, we haven't even had to call you yet. Stay tuned. Okay, that'd be a Baker Tilly.
Well, it'd be
Oh,
town.
it would be the Syracuse.
yeah, town of.
You don't do the Syracuse. Okay. I don't know who their attorney is. He told us 3 or 4 times. That's not the name he gave us. No, it wasn't Vern. Do you remember?
The attorney in Syracuse, that's
It's not Birch, no. I know, Jack, it wasn't him. He kept throwing out a name that told him not to do this and not to do that, one of the people at this meeting. So I've assumed it, probably incorrectly, that that was his attorney, town attorney, but evidently, maybe not, so. I don't know. Maybe it's his personal attorney, I have no idea. Okay, all right, so, did you have anything else?
No, I think you're going to talk about Marsh and the 1300 North planning process, so I'll be happy to add into anything if you need anything from us.
Okay, all right, and thank you. Then thank Alan for arranging that meeting. That was a very progressive, good idea to move forward,
Yeah,
so.
well, as I say, and I appreciate this, is how do we get people in a problem-solving mode and just open discussion, candid, understand what's on the table that we need to address and then move forward.
Terry, for the benefit of the commission, can you speak to the, I don't remember if it's a signed letter of intent, but they do have a developer for multifamily?
Yeah, so they have I'm saying they're working with a developer. I'm not sure that they have a draft contract in front of them. I don't believe it's been executed because this is a go, no-go question. So that person, if that group is, if this gets answered sufficiently, they are a go and they'll execute. It's kind of where we're at.
All right, very good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so now we move on to the Marsh service agreement, which everyone should have gotten a copy of in their packet. And this just explains what the plan is moving forward, which we've all seen the presentation on a couple times and have talked about at length. And I don't believe that there is any action that we're required to do other than just be aware of what's going on with this. And I didn't warn you, but would you like to talk about the steering committee that Crystal is forming, and the people were invited specifically for their input, and this is not a decision-making committee. So that's why Alan was not invited in the beginning, or any representative from KEDCO.
Sure.
Because that wasn't the intent of this. I'm not attending any of it either, so.
Talking with Evan Marsh, one of the suggestions was trying to establish a steering committee to try and get at least a general idea of where things should go, and then from there, reach out to some of the more technical aspects, looking into more property owners, having other meetings, that type of thing. But just a smaller committee that just, hey, is it going in the right direction where this board thinks that the intent was? With that, talking with Crystal and Joni, we kind of put who would make sense to have on that committee. Myself was one of the recommendations, Steve Moriarty with the Highway Department. I know Doug, Jan, both of you, as sitting for representatives of the Redevelopment Commission, reached out to both of the towns because obviously they've got skin in the game. Both Syracuse and Milford have skin in this game. So looking for a representative from those two communities, and looked at making it broader, but kind of left it up to them who they wanted to appoint, whether it's one of their town board members, one of their redevelopment commission members, whoever they felt was their best representation. And then dialing down to the technical sewer and water folks after that. KEDCO, I think, was extended the hand to, and I think that was the steering committee as well as Evan Marsh's representative, Crystal, and then I don't know if Chris was sitting in or not, but
Yeah, someone is.
yeah. So more just a general, let's make sure this thing's going in the right direction type thing. No
I think
decisions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Brad and
Yes, I'm sorry.
Jackson and Carrie Groninger are also.
Reached
Both
out.
cannot be.
Yeah, both of them cannot be. Reached out to Brad and Carrie in case one or the other couldn't. I know Brad's got a lot of commitments. Carrie has a lot of commitments. So, in speaking with Brad, it sounded like he is interested. It's his district.
Yeah.
He likes to see what is going to happen up there, and he cares for his district. So, Brad has expressed interest as well.
Good.
It's not going to be a monthly meeting. I think more of what Crystal was recommending is a quarterly or every bi-monthly. Doug, you asked a great question. How much time are we looking involved? Hours, what she was hoping for at most. So, and then going from there, making recommendations of who else should they be talking to? What else should they be looking at? Are there other parties that have interest that maybe they need to take in consideration? Or, you know, Doug, you know that this area has historically been this family, you know, they need to be involved or whatever the case may be. So that's the purpose of the steering committee. Not really to make a decision. We had a very similar process with the comprehensive plan. We had a steering committee, a lot bigger committee, a lot bigger area. So, but that's kind of the nutshell of it.
And Matt was gracious enough to agree to be the chair of the committee. Thank you.
I can say, let's go and let's adjourn. So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, I really do. And if, I know that Doug, you and Jan have expressed interest. If you're not going to be able to attend the meetings, we have someone else on the Redevelopment Commission that has expressed interest. Just so keep me posted, depending
Yeah,
on when they
I think we're
set
meeting on
them.
the 28th at 1:30.
I haven't checked my last email, but there was dates thrown out there to try and see where everybody was going to do and try and find a central location. I think up there, just knowing the facility, but I'll go with that.
Yeah.
So.
And, yeah. Do you know of any good locations for a group of, 12 or 14?
Sound like Syracuse offered the
Town
Community
hall?
Center?
community center, which
Okay.
is, I haven't talked to Tricia on
I
whether
missed that
they have a
one.
nice meeting room for the town.
Okay,
Tricia
good.
Gall, the clerk, if they'd be interested.
Oh, Crystal did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have it under control, so.
Yep, I
Yep.
left that up to her to figure out where. So
Okay.
I did the footwork.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts, Matt. Depending on the response from the various communities, Another individual that was present at our meeting was the Redevelopment Commission, Syracuse Redevelopment Commission.
Yes, Jeffrey. I can't tell you his last name.
So that might be an individual if we needed more representation.
Yeah.
And then the other, I'm just wondering about possibly either the county or the Syracuse Chamber.
This is North Webster, or Milford.
But it's county.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm suggesting, the Chamber of Syracuse. Ashley is the executive director for the, so I'm just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
No, I'm
names
just,
out there, that's all.
this is not my, I'm better west. You want to talk about west, we can talk about Atwood and all kinds of things, but when you go that way, it's a little confusing to me as far as where everything's located. Yes, I've lived here a long time.
And that was, there was kind of a second extended list that some of those names were on as well.
Great, good.
Okay.
Because I think no matter what, those are input that they need from those.
Smile, Matt, look at the camera,
Oh, look at the camera.
right there.
Oh. Wait,
You got it?
wait.
Okay.
So, yeah, so, but
I
yes.
just have to tease Matt. He's fun to tease.
There's a lot of folks that, the fire and EMS, how would they respond to different development out there?
Sure,
Those
sure.
things, so
Yeah.
I can see a lot of input.
Great, that's
Yeah.
But won't Avonmarsh dive into that part of it?
Yes. As a steering committee, and I'm taking the experience from the comprehensive plan we had pretty well, we're going to give them idea, make sure that they're steering in those directions. They've done them, they're experienced, but we know our community is what the idea is. And maybe there's folks beyond school district, you want to get talking with the superintendent, how's that going to impact, right now we're thinking industrial. What if a major residential goes in there? How's that impact? What's that going to do to that district? Those are things that would be looked at from a planning standpoint. So, but yes, they're doing the footwork. They're doing all the grunt work for the most part, so.
Yeah, I think it'll be very beneficial. I think it'll be a good idea. And when I spoke to two commissioners separately about it, they thought that it was that and the South Shore were both really good projects to concentrate on and see what we can do to make them beneficial to our county. And thank you for
Oh,
taking on this
no.
responsibility. I really appreciate it.
It's kind of right up the wheelhouse of planning, so it's exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
And now you have an assistant, so.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any questions about the Avon-Marsh service agreement or the steering committee or anything else at this point? Okay, and we can count on you for updates, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So everybody on the Redevelopment Commission will be kept informed. And can you, if you send everything to Rhonda, then she can send it all out to all of us, including Marcia and Terry and Alan. Yep. Are you both copied on everything, Terry?
I've been added to this, I know that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. All right, next. I had them just put down goals. I had an opportunity to, you were there too, right, when we met with Carrie? Doug and I met with Carrie Groninger, one of our commissioners, and we just asked them for the purpose of aligning our directions and goals. They are the decision makers of our county, and I personally felt that we needed their input as to how to move forward on some of these things. And so we just sat with Kerry and got his ideas, and he kept saying, these are my thoughts, my ideas, which, and we cannot meet with more than one commissioner at a time. It's kind of like we can only have 2 members on anything here. Same with the council, there can only be 3 people present. So we don't have a quorum, so we can't possibly make any decisions. But this was just more of a fact-gathering, opinion-gathering session. And then I did have a chance to talk to Brad at length, and he basically, they paralleled on some things. So I'm going to concentrate on what they paralleled on. But Brad felt that partnerships were wonderful, like the South Shore. Something like that where you're involving the private sector with the government. He liked those type of situations. He also thought that the risk and the reward should be left more to the businesses than to taxpayer dollars. My words, not his. He said government, but it's all taxpayer dollars. So we would not, the government, even locally, would not even be in existence if it weren't for taxpayer dollars. So we did toss around some other ideas, but another thing they aligned on was 1300 North. They thought it was essential and to connect and also to utilize the bridge, the overpass. I'm not sure it's a bridge, but anyway. Civil engineering is not my thing either, in case you couldn't figure that out. Anyway, the overpass, to utilize that and make that area more welcoming to businesses. It'll be safer for school buses, which was a major concern. They had to actually stop on the tracks. And so this is going to be a real huge step forward for the county. And then also South Shore, he felt that Brad and Carrie's opinions aligned with we should do what we can to support them and help them. And Brad also, because it was after the fact that we had decided, or we had tossed out the idea of doing an economic impact study and the utility study, Brad said he thought that that was a great step forward and that the Redevelopment Commission and the county should support that study, because without it, really not sure, like you said, it's go or no go. If they can't get water there, yeah, it's going to be a major problem. And he felt, Brad felt pretty strongly about abatements and TIFs being the way to go. Instead of that, he felt that commissioner and county dollars could be spent for things like the studies to help offset some of that cost, but not the total cost. Like he said, he really liked the partnerships. And Carrie had some really good ideas. Carrie and Brad both admitted Carrie is more futuristic, more forward-thinking, and Brad is less government. So it was interesting to get their viewpoints. And if you ever haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to them, they're both very interesting, engaging people, and they have some great ideas, and they're highly intelligent, and they both have good hearts, and they're doing what they can to serve the county. And you haven't had a chance to talk to Bob, have you?
No.
I asked Doug if he would please go to the barber shop, because I just don't want to go to the barber shop to talk to Bob. So, yeah, I know.
Note to self, I need to, yeah.
Note to self, go to the barber shop.
Go to the barber shop.
Yeah. You can have my notes if you'd like to.
I might ask for it.
Okay, all right. And so, I mean, that was the basic things that we talked about there. And I just wanted to give you that feedback that we had, I had met with two and move forward a little bit with what they were thinking. It makes sense for the Redevelopment Commission, the council, and especially the commissioners to all be on the same page, all working towards the same thing. If we were trying to do something in an area of the county that they didn't feel was beneficial for spending a lot of the whoever's dollars, whether they're taxpayer in personal or in businesses, that's something that I would personally not want to see. Okay, and that was basically what I had under that. Does anybody have any other business to come before the Redevelopment Commission?
Since we're talking about goals of 2024.
Yes, sir.
And I do want to just say thank you for taking the initiative to get with our county commissioners, because again, I think all of the committees, like the Redevelopment Commission, is looking for the hill that we're supposed to charge, right? We want to make sure that we're aligned with our elected officials so that we can actually move the needle in a productive way for the county so that we can embrace more strategic growth. And so I think that's terrific. So thanks you for reaching out to them. You had asked us to also go back and review the powers as well as the scope of Redevelopment Commission. And those are lengthy documents. I have to admit, I have begun that process, but I haven't completed that process.
And they're very lengthy.
And assuming that all of us around the table will be here in 2024, but I would just encourage folks, if you haven't, like me, if you can make sure that you take the time to review that, because there's a lot of, I want to be careful with the word, the reach of the Redevelopment Commission, or the scope of the Redevelopment Commission, I think, is larger than what sometimes we feel that it is, as far as what we're endowed with, as far as representing the county. And so I want to make sure that, again, we're operating in the most effective and efficient way on behalf of the taxpayers and behalf of the county, by understanding what we really can get done, what we're charged with. So, so my commitment is to finish working through that and making, internalizing more, and I would encourage the others to do as well.
I have a quick question. I'm working on the bike trail and all that up in North Webster and going to Syracuse and all that. And it turns out that everything outside of Webster, I'm better off talking to the county too. So I talked to Kerry Groninger and all. Is that something we want to be involved with, or should we just leave it alone and let the park department and whoever is in on that? The INDOT grants and stuff, they require the county to be involved also. That's why I'm doing all that for them.
But the park department is involved in all that? The county park department?
I just reached out to them.
Okay.
But I've had several meetings with Kerry Groninger and talked to Brad Jackson about it too. And Kerry, he is very much for greenways as much as possible in our county. One thing that he often talks about that I agree is to go from Webster to Warsaw following the river. And I'm just wondering, is that something we need to or want to do something with, or just throwing it out there for thoughts, for future thoughts?
I'm looking at Adam, trying to read your face, and you're doing very well at just being neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would, it always goes well for this commission to, make sure it fully, to Doug's point, fully understands all the tools it has in the toolbox and see if any of those tools kind of fit to that situation. My first inkling would be that that's something that needs to come through the Parks Board and Commission, and if they see a fit for one of our tool or the redevelopment's tools, and then kind of come in this direction after that. That's kind of my knee-jerk reaction on it.
My first thought was if the Parks Department is,
Yeah.
then I think that's good. But it would never hurt for you to keep us updated. In fact, I would welcome that, to know what's going on with that. Just the more we know, the better we serve our community and taxpayers.
And we could always, and I always want to throw, a little bit of credit too to KEDCO's very good at recognizing other areas in the state that have utilized these tools in a different way than maybe locally we're used to. And so oftentimes they're bringing us ideas as well. So they may be able to be a part of that as well.
And the Parks Department is really new.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're doing a good job, and they're trying to take on different projects. And
Yes.
Okay. How's the schools?
So I should turn this on. Schools are good, thank you.
Attendance up or down? Or not attendance, enrollment.
It's fairly flat.
Okay.
Our demographics show that we're going to have a small dip over time, but the birth rates are down and so forth. So personally, my biggest concern, and it's my district on school board, is the southern end of the county, Silver Lake, Claypool area, and growth down there, students in that area. So that's always a concern of mine. Everything seems to be going north. I would love to see something go south. So that's my own personal plug, so.
South and west tend to be
South and
the
west, yes.
neglected ones, yes, I know. I can relate to that. So Mike, do you have anything?
I'm good.
He's dreaming of Florida, I can see it. You deserve to go away for the winters. And I'm jealous, I'll just admit it.
I'm more dreaming like maybe 2024, semi-retirement from Metzger and Son Trucking Company. That's what I'm looking for.
I understand that. Jan?
No, I've got plenty to do and some direction, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. Anything else? No. Okay, thank you. And just our attorney, you need to share anything? We're doing okay. Thanks. It raises my comfort level having you sit there, I'll tell you. All right, so in that case, our next meeting will be January 2nd, 2024. On a Tuesday, it is mandatory. If you cannot be there, please let me know. And Marcia, when we get those alignments, then we'll check with all those people, make sure they can be here on January 2nd, whoever's going to be on Redevelopment Commission at that point. So, fun of appointed committees and commissions, so. All right. If there's nothing else, thank you for joining us, Matt, Terry, Marcia, the press. What is your name? Bree. Hi, Bree, thank you. And thank you, Rhonda, for all your help and support. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second?
All those in favor can just, we can all get up and leave, or we can vote, whatever you choose.
Or anything we need to sign, Rhonda, before we go? That's it, okay.
You do have documents? No. Yes.
It won't affect your quorum, but I will not be here on the 2nd. I'm going to be down where Naples.
And you're a little further, I'm over